Robert Yummy Sandifer, born March 12th of 1983, was an 11-year-old American street gang member from Chicago, Illinois. Robert Sandifer was murdered by fellow gang members in Chicago, and this event garnered national attention because of his age, resulting in him appearing on the cover of Time magazine in September of 1994. Robert Sandifer was the last child of 9 born of Lorena Sandifer, who had over 30 arrests while prostituting, many of which drug-related. A social worker who oversaw Lorena Sandifer and her children even said that there is no reason to believe that Lorena Sandifer will ever be able to adequately meet her own needs, let alone the needs of her growing family. When Robert was taken away from his mother and given to his grandmother, Janie Fields, the juvenile court concluded that her prognosis as a caregiver wasn't much more promising. The psychiatric report described Fields as very controlling and domineering. Sandifer was physically abused from the time he was an infant. Before he was 3 years old, Sandifer was already known to the Department of Children and Family Services. Physical examinations showed that Sandifer was alleged to have cigarette burns on his arms and neck, as well as a linear bruising consistent with physical beatings.
I just wanted to know what you think, what kind of guy he was.
Hey, man, he was a little kid.
He was a kid?
Yeah.
When you say he was, how old was he?
He was 11.
11. What was he like when he was a little kid?
He was a sweet little kid. He wasn't violent, and he wasn't bad. The way they talking about now, that's not true. It's not true.
Like when you say...
Every time somebody says something, they change it around. He was this and he was that, and I know that he was not.
If I was to see this young man on the street, I've never seen him, right? What would I see? What did he look like? Was he a tall fellow? Was he short?
He was this short. He was very short. To be his age, he was real short.
Was he a bright fellow? Was he a smart guy?
Yeah, he was very bright and very smart. He can draw, he can read, he can write.
What kind of food did he like? I mean, was he...
He loved food, gyros. He ate a lot.
Mm-hmm.
When Mama had barbecues, he ate that. He ate a lot.
Why was his nickname Yummy?
Because he loved cookies.
His nickname was Yummy because he loved cookies.
Yeah.
What was his favorite cookie?
Chocolate chip. Oreo. You know them chocolate chips in the blue bag?
Many in the neighborhood where Robert lived had much to say about him. In the Time article about Robert, people said that he was a bully and that he smelled and he was of a different breed. Others recall a sweeter side. Lulu Washington sells discount candy out of her house, just across from Yummy's, and he just wanted love, she says. For that, he could be disarmingly kind. He'd say thank you, excuse me, pardon me. He loved animals and basketball, and the way with bicycles. He even once managed to merge 2 bikes into a single, working in tandem. Those were the good times. His home with his grandmother was in a working-class neighborhood, and the residents dealt with the growth of gangs in their neighborhood. One in particular that Robert would soon join, the Black Disciples. The Black Disciples was prominent in Chicago at the time, and several thousand or so gang members in Chicago were spread out across separate fiefdoms, led by ministers in their 30s and 40s who were always recruiting children. A Black disciple named Keith, 17, describes the role the youngest members play. He's a small little punk, but he wants a name, right? So you make him do the work. Hey homie, go get me a red sports car, by tonight. I'm taking my woman out. Or hey homie, go find me $50. Or hey homie, you want to be big? Go pop that dude who's messing with our business.
How long did you know him?
Since I've been staying around here.
How long was that?
About a year.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
What was he like?
Bad.
Bad? Like when you say bad, what do you mean?
Fighting, stealing, breaking in people's houses.
I think you should have answered the question.
Yeah?
Shut up! Somebody open up that door.
Did you ever see like the police coming to his house?
Every other day.
Every other day the police were coming to his house?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? When you found out that he was killed, right? What did you think?
It shocked me. He shouldn't have got killed like that. He didn't have to die the way he was killed, but that's the life you live. That's what happened.
Robert was known for bullying and stealing money from children and the community in the Chicago neighborhood of Roseland. He liked luxury cars and remarkably was able to drive them despite his small size. Many of his 23 felonies and 5 misdemeanors were committed in the course of running errands for street gangs. The penal system had no way to keep him out of trouble, and the courts were helpless to lock him away because he was too young for the juvenile detention system, and too dangerous to be placed with children his age. Robert averaged a felony a month for the last year and a half of his life. Anne O'Callahan, a lawyer and assistant public guardian, met Robert once, last December in court. She was astounded by his size and demeanor. Some of these kids we represent are ominous characters, but I have never had to bend over and I was like, "Hi, my name is Anne, and I'm your lawyer." I couldn't believe it. Robert wasn't the least intimidated by the courtroom. It was like he was just sitting there waiting for the bus. On August 28, 1994, Robert was ordered to do a favor for his gang. He opened fire several times with a 9mm semi-automatic pistol, striking several youths. Robert quickly fled the scene. Among the victims was a 14-year-old Siobhan Dean, who was hit by a stray bullet and later died from her gunshot wounds. The crime spree made national headlines. The nation was shocked by the brutality of the crime and the fact that the alleged perpetrator was 11 years old. The Chicago police began a manhunt for Robert, and according to Sergeant Palmer of the Chicago Police, Robert's actions were a gang initiation gone wrong. Robert spent the last 3 days of his life on the run. Gang members shuttled him between safe houses and abandoned buildings as the police swooped down on the neighborhood, searching for the shooter, followed by a flock of reporters. Robert was terrified for his life. He didn't understand why the police were after him, and his grandmother was worried about his safety and called him on the payphone to ask about his whereabouts, and he would answer crying and asking his grandmother if he could come back home. Robert managed to find his way back to his neighborhood and to his neighbor's house. Robert, visibly frightened, asked his neighbor if he could call his grandmother so he could turn himself in. He asked if he could say a prayer together. The neighbor went to go make the call, and when she came back, he was gone. The police can only guess what happened next. On August 31st, while hiding at a home of a neighbor, Robert was met by brothers Craig and Derek Hardaway, ages 16 and 14, members of the Black Disciple Street Gang. Robert was told that he was being taken to a safe location and ordered into a waiting car. Instead, he was brought to a railroad underpass at East 108th Street and South Dolphin Avenue and was told to get on his knees. While on his knees, he was shot twice in the back of the head by the Hardaway brothers.
All of you children that are standing here, looking down, take a good look, and I want you to say within your hearts that you'll never end up like Robert. Okay? Cry if you will. Make up your mind that you will never let your life end in tragedy like this.
He was murdered by fellow gang members because they were afraid of him telling the Chicago police about the Black Disciples' operations around his neighborhood in Chicago North Side. 400 people attended his funeral, and the story was shared by Time magazine to the rest of the nation to show how gruesome gang activity can be and how even an 11-year-old child can become a killer. Robert Yummy Sandifer died August 31st, 1994. Hello everyone, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, let me know in the comments down below, and leave a like if you liked the video, and if you're new to my channel, go ahead and subscribe, and if you're old, make sure you hit that bell so you can get my notifications every time. This is the first installment of the Spooky Week content, hope you enjoyed. If you want to request any other horror stories, let me know in the comments down below. There will be another horror stories video this week, so I hope you're excited for that. That one is going to be a little extreme, so there's going to be a disclaimer before the video and stuff, so if you don't want to watch it, you don't have to. All that cool stuff. There's gonna be plenty of other spooky Reddit stuff happening this week as well, so you can have a bunch of other content to watch. As always, I gotta thank the Patreon supporters, so thank you to Finny, Pro Cookie, Mia, Lucy, Unholy Trio. Thank you so much for your support. It's greatly appreciated. And if you want to help support the channel in any way, there's 2 links in the description, one on my merch store and one on my Patreon. Both funds go directly into the channel to make sure we can maintain what's happening here. And as always, stay zesty.